Thank you very much. And having grown up as a broadcaster working in radio since I was 15 years old, I've kind of grew up with the public interest, convenience, and necessity standard. And I certainly have a great deal of sympathy for the local broadcasters. And I want to ask Mr. Dodge and maybe Mr. McKenzie, if we take away or limit the local TV stations' leverage with respect to negotiating a programming license by allowing distant signals, what leverage are they going to have in the negotiations?
Well, if you believe what they say, and localism is important as it is, then the distant signal is a imperfect solution. All it will do is ensure that folks continue to be able to watch American Idol, but they won't be getting their local news.
So what if I do think that that's important, Mr. Waldron. Maybe you can tell me some of the benefits that we're getting. I can't believe Jim Cantore is going to give me better hurricane information than the weathercaster we call Dead Wrong Dale affectionately in Corpus Christi.
Actually, that is exactly right. And look, we understand the market. We understand that people actually are tuning in on a daily basis for their American Idol or for their CBS or NBC hit show. But when the tornado comes, suddenly there will be an outcry. And I don't think you want to say, where is that local station the day after the tornado hits? So that is the point, that localism is about being there and serving the community all the time. And yes, much of the viewing is tuning in for...
Okay, so I mean, I've got limited time. So, Mr. McKenzie, can you tell me... go ahead, did you want to answer this?
Yeah, I would. The American Cable Association are primarily very small cable providers. Oftentimes, we're at the edge of a DMA.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll use my system as an example. We are in Shenandoah County, which is in the Washington, D.C. DMA. You cannot get off air in our area. We have to have that brought in by fiber to do so. So I can tell you there are no local sports, there are no local, but I can get that from a distant station, which is only 30 miles away.
All right, so let's talk about Section 119. And if we do away with the requirements at local, or the incentives for local stations to get on, or the requirements, do we end up with network affiliate superstations where it's the station in New York or Chicago or LA that everyone gets? And then how does the local car dealer advertise for, or whatever business there is in the local community? The candidate for Congress.
I'm saying our view is that's absolutely what would happen. That the easiest thing for the carriers to do would be to make an arrangement with New York and Chicago and LA and broad that. And so then we would have a national broadcast system, which is how some other countries doing it. That's not the American system, and that is not it is not the case that actually it would give a platform for the car dealers or the movie theaters.
Right, so I'm sorry, I've got limited time. Mr. Donato.
Could I just say,
sure.
Why shouldn't consumers be able to choose in that case? It sounds like Mr. Waldron is proving the point that perhaps localism isn't that important. If a consumer is going to be satisfied with New York, shouldn't they make that
But isn't it much cheaper for you and uses less bandwidth and less resources for you on your satellite just to have one national? You do away with all the spot beams and all of that, and you just have one station, and it's actually cheaper for you to broadcast one affiliate rather than several hundred?
It certainly would be, but the fact of the matter is today we broadcast locals in all 210 markets. We've made the decision that we want to be in there, and all we're saying is to protect consumers from takedowns, allow us to temporarily import a distant signal. That's not the end game.
Well, would another option to the ones you suggested might be, all right, you stay up and you go under whatever agreement is eventually reached? Would that be?
Of course.
All right, Mr. Donato, we talk about these areas, these million or so
designated market areas.
Yeah. When we talk about the million or so people who aren't served by anybody, is there a way we set it up where they just, rather than fall, and even with the DMAs, we set it up to the one that's most rationally close to them? Isn't there just a way to start over and do away with the 1972 stuff? If I had my choice of local affiliates in Washington, D.C. on DirecTV, I'd pick the Corpus Christi local affiliate.
So the 1972 stuff that was what existed at the time the law was written, and that's why it's in the appendix, and no one's gone back to update it. And we would be delighted to supply the committee with updated information on it. And just so you understand what the implications are, pay penetration in 1972 was obviously less than 5%, or the amount of viewing that went to pay was less than 5%. And right now, the amount of viewing that goes to cable stations is about 65%. So there has been a shift. Typically, the counties in which it feels like it's irrational because you can't get the Broncos game are really large rural counties, and most of those people in those counties do, in fact, watch to the home market station. We do have split counties. We have split counties in the past, and that's why we'll...
My time is up. I've now got to go research whether or not watching my Corpus Christi stations on my Sling box is illegal. Got me a little concerned now. I yield back.
I thank the